Okay, we're all here to celebrate our good friend Doug Ake, and with his family here. It's truly it's good to have all of his friends here. They asked me to. I'm a great public speaker. They asked me to help them out here. So we're going to have a little something we're going to read to you here shortly. Elaine.
You'll have to bear with me. My voice is not the best these days. I was at Burbage's earlier, and it's very tough listening to Doug's daughters talk about growing up and the times and things, but I was reminded of a kind of funny story when Doug's son Trouble was brought up, and Trouble was coming into his own at the store, and I happened to be there when a little boy about, I'd say 2 or 3 years old, was standing with his father next to me in line, and Trouble came up, and Doug happened to be standing there, and Trouble took a liking to the little boy. And the little boy said, "Daddy, the doggy's wrestling me." And Doug immediately went into a panic mood and said, "Get the party gator, get the party gator." And anyone that worked at Ake Marine then will remember when Trouble was feeling a little frisky, there was a party gator to throw on the floor, and Trouble would pile on it and have his way. And it kind of struck me as I was there today thinking about that. And you know, Doug could handle any situation in that store, right down to a 3-year-old boy being molested by a wire-haired terrier. And we've all talked about it quite a bit in the past week, and always, and I've said this, before we had the internet and how-to articles and call and get the part shipped to you with instructions on it, or email someone, we had Doug. And that's something that would never be duplicated in this business. I don't care what country I was in, what state I was in. There was always, if you were in a marina and needed something, Doug Ake found it, got it shipped to you, and stayed on the phone with you till you could get it installed on your boat. More than once. I remember my dad calling Holiday Isle Marina in Islamorada on the radio and saying, "Hey, can you call Ake Marine? I need this or that for my boat, and we need it overnighted." And sure enough, a day later, the package was there. That's something that'll never be replaced in this business, and we're all going to miss Doug. And thinking of you, buddy. Thanks.
Okay, what I'm going to read to you here is some words from David Cropper, Chief Fire Department, and I can really relate to a lot of this stuff, and you will be able to do too. A few words about my good friend Doug Ake. My first memories of Doug are as a bartender at the Marina deck, then working as a diver with Underwater Services, which I believe with another good friend, Bill Gordy. I was a tender, then even had an underwater chainsaw. He had shoved enough caulking cotton in underwater seams of old wooden boats to make us all a cotton sweater. Doug, or Douglas as he was called when there was some indication of trouble, worked around the boats and marinas on just about anything that needed repairing. He did a lot of marine wiring on commercial boats during the early years. In the cold winter months, to find work in the off-season, to put food on the table for his newly started family. And for the business of Ake Marine, he talked me into helping him with wiring on John Marvin's fleet of commercial clam boats. Now, there were the wooden schooner types, the L.E. Yates, the Carey, the Thomas Hendersons, the William Beale, along with the Mary Newcomb. When working below deck in cold, dark, and damp areas, that a 32-volt DC current could really eat you up, shock you, and that might have been the start of Doug's hair problem. Doug's shop was then located on Wycomico Street and the bay at the south side of the White Marlin Marina before the White Marlin condo itself was built, where Bill Winbro's shop was once. It was a little low-lying, and every nor'easter we could pitch in to put everything up on blocks so the tide wouldn't get it. Doug didn't have to go far because Elena, and he lived upstairs, and this is where the family was started. The store was then moved to our front next to the ice plant on Philadelphia Avenue, which is one most of us I think would remember, and then was moved way out of town to the commercial harbor on North Harbor Road, where it is now. Everyone said, why go way out there where there's nothing else? I mean, it's desolate, right? I continue to work for Doug on and off to this day. Elena once asked Doug who wrote this invoice. He replied, David did. He always waits on himself, writes his own tickets. While we were busy, this was followed by a big sigh with Elena shaking her head. The store grew along with his family, as did our trust and friendship. Doug and his family have not only been good to me through the years, but also to our whole community, and especially to the fire company. I know Doug will be missed by all. I will especially miss his snicker, his laugh, and the way he would turn his head and say, that David has done it again. So long, old friend, may fair winds, light seas, and a smile carry you on. David Cropper, Chief, Ocean City Fire Department.
Is this okay?
Yeah, step out, please. I know it's wheel.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to just bring back some memories. About 1983, we came to Ocean City with the last call, and we were new. We didn't know anyone. We went into the White Marlin Marina, and we were going to set up business. We were going into the charter business. And my husband still had to go back to Philadelphia every week and go to work. Frankie was about 11, I guess, something like that. And my husband said to me, there's a marine shop right behind our boat. Go in there and try to set up an account with the man who owns that business. We might need a few parts for the boat, and I'm not going to be here. So I went in, and there was this man, a real tall man to me. And I introduced myself, told him who we were, where we were from. I said, no one in town knows us, but I want you to know, we'll pay our bill. If we can't pay our bill, we'll come in and we'll tell you. But believe me, we'll be back. We'll pay it if we can't pay it at the end of the month. I said, we'd like to have credit. Will you give it to us? And he looked down and he said, I'd be glad to have, I'd be privileged. That's what he said to me. I'd be privileged to have you as a customer. And this was Doug. And I'll never forget that, because he didn't know us from Adam. No one else in town knew us. I knew we might need him someday. Little did I know how many times we would have needed Doug. And he came through for us. So, Debbie, wherever you are, thank you. Thank you for the privilege of knowing you.
I moved down here in 1980. I lived with my brother downtown Ocean City at Dorchester Street. And you all know that I met my husband Steve, and you know, the story behind that and everything. But when I first met him, he had just been on the boat with Jim Daniels and Marty and everybody who caught the big blue marlin. Okay, and we had just started dating that summer. And he bought me, for my birthday, which was always White Marlin Open Week, and we had the worst fights every year, you know, because he had a fish and I wanted to go out to dinner. But it never happened. But anyway, he bought me a car, and dear old Doug, this is the best memory I have of him. He was downtown, across from Philadelphia Avenue, where I lived with my brother Chuck, and he was in on it from the beginning. And Steve had bought me this car after he had got that big blue Marlin. Of course, got the money and whatever. But anyway, he left me a note on the bar in the kitchen. And when I got up to go to work, it said on there, "Go see my friend Doug." And I'm like, okay. And it was my birthday, and I knew he was doing whatever he did, and there was a key there, and it said, he goes, "Doug will tell you about it." So I went across the road, and I went to Doug and I said, "What does this mean?" And he goes, "Well," he goes, "I don't know." He goes, "I think he wanted you to bring him something or do something or whatever." He goes, "But I don't know about the key." He goes, "But it's out back." He goes, let's walk out back, Pam." And I walked out back, and I saw this big blue Chrysler LeBaron convertible, with a big bow on it and everything. And he goes, "Steve wanted you to know happy birthday." And I'm like, "You're kidding me, right?" And he goes, "No." He goes, he said, he wanted me to take care of it because he was out fishing or whatever. And he goes, happy birthday. But dumb Steve gave me the key to the trunk. I couldn't get in the son of a bitch. And I looked at Doug, I said, "Really?" And he just said, he goes, "What do you expect?" So that was one of my fondest memories of Doug, and we've talked about it through the years, and I guess he's up there with Steve, saying some stories. So I loved him. He was a good friend and a good person, and we're gonna miss him, especially in the fishing community. We're definitely gonna miss him.
Hello, I'm Alan Richardson. I can't remember when me and Doug weren't friends, and his name was Alan Douglas, and mine was Douglas Allen. Everybody at that time went by their middle name, I guess. I don't know. I often thought that was funny. We both went by their middle name. But way back years ago, like another car story, we went somewhere, and FM radio hadn't come in here on the Eastern Shore, and somebody had a car that had this thing on the radio called a Vibrasonic. They were messing with that sound, trying to get this stereo sound out of an AM radio. I said, "Well, Doug, I like that sound." I said, "We just talked." Anyhow, I bought one, I ordered it from Pittsville Motors. It came in, I got it. I got the instructions out and I read it. I read them again. Man, I was lost. I went and said something to Douglas. He said, "Oh yeah, come by, we'll put that in." We put that in, and the time we turned it on, it's like when he went through them instructions, he knew what he was doing. It just amazed me, and how he always knew things like that, and he could work on a car radio or television. He just seemed like I remember once he gave me a book on like radio repair and stuff, and he understood it. I read in that book, but he understood it. And as I say, I don't remember when we weren't friends. I always remember him being it was West Street there in Pittsville, and far back as I can remember, that's where they lived. But Miss Jean said they lived at Gumber one time. Yeah, but I certainly had the pleasure knowing him and being friends with him.
Hi, my name's Dennis. I don't have any fishing stories about Doug, but Doug and I both started this family thing late in our lives. Okay, and in Doug's case, he had 2 daughters. In my case, I had 3. And the truth is, neither one of us had any idea what the heck you do about this situation. And most of my conversations with Doug would go back and forth about, well, what are you going to do about this? Or how are you going to handle that? What do you think about? And on and on. Nothing, all we talked about, well, we talked about dogs, but we really talked about daughters all the time. And those of you who know Jennifer and know Christina, you know that he didn't get the right answers necessarily from me, but he sure did a wonderful job raising his kids. But that's the thing I'll remember most about him, is how much he cared. How much he cared about not only his family, but basically all of us. I mean, if you ever had a problem, it didn't matter whether boat related or whatever, but obviously he was very good at that. But you had a problem, you talked to Doug, Doug had a solution, okay? And most of the times, it was the right solution. So, thank you.